Midsummer in Southern New England, another Newport Folk Festival in the books. Bartholomewtown was on the ground, and so many takeaways. I'll get to all of that in just a moment. For a lot of people, of course, the big takeaway, Dave Matthews and the surprise appearance. It was a remarkable moment. And I'll share with you what I saw and really what I felt in that moment and give you everything I can to translate as well as I can some of what I observed and essentially am reporting on here in this podcast. So welcome in. But this is, I was trying to keep track. I guess this is probably the sixth time that Bartholomewtown has been a credentialed media outlet for the Newport festivals. This is such a special part of Rhode Island. So all that in just a second. I want to get to some pretty important news here that we haven't been on with a new episode since last week, and this is finally absolutely confirmed. So I want to make some major announcements here. Coming up next week, August 3rd, Monday, August 3rd, I will be moderating a debate between Governor Dan McKee and Helena Bonanno Folks, the two candidates in the Democratic primary for governor. And this will be the first time the two are debating. Understand that there are 3 debates scheduled. This will be the first of 3. And you're going to be able to hear that on WPRO on the radio at noon on Monday, August 3rd. And then as soon as it goes on, live on the radio, I'll post it here on the podcast. Okay, so the first of 3 gubernatorial debates right here on Bartholomewtown. I'll be moderating that. Okay, the next day, Tuesday, August 4th, I'll be moderating a debate, Mayor of Providence. Brett Smiley, Mayor of Providence, and David Morales, the state representative who is mounting a pretty significant campaign in his challenge in that Democrat primary. Ostensibly, the mayor's race will be decided there. That'll be, again, on Tuesday, August 4th, with a noontime broadcast on WPRO, 99.7 FM, AM 630, 99.7 WPRO.com, okay? As soon as it goes up, boom, as soon as it goes live over the air, I'll post on the podcast as well. So you get next week, governor and mayor debates, Beattown special coming up. And these are going to be, in the case of the governor, it'll be the first debate. In the case of Mayor of Providence, they've already had a couple of debates. So working diligently on that, it took a lot to bring it together. I want to thank all the parties from all the campaigns and from Cumulus Media who operate WPRO for the project that we've put together here. I'm pleased that we were able to get it across the finish line and bring that to you because that's what you deserve, right? In an election season, that's what it really should be about. Ideas and the candidates right there in front of you. So again, that's coming up next week. Had to put it here at the front of this episode, right? So Newport Folk is a magical experience from an intangible standpoint. From a practical standpoint, it's a big deal. It's a big deal from the standpoint, obviously, of economics. I haven't seen an impact study in a little bit, but between the two festivals, folk and jazz, you're talking like $60 million, I would guess well north of that in economic activity. And Commerce RI, no doubt, plays a role in facilitating this as a major event and a major impact event, economic driver. Now, what's interesting is there was an article in the Providence Journal today about, sort of this anti-tourism push that's happening in Newport politics. Some of it stems directly from the festivals and the traffic. So it's like, okay, you can't literally have your cake and eat it too here. If you're Newport, you have to kind of decide what you want to be. But honestly, from the standpoint of management, that's the first thing I want to talk about. I mean, a ton of bikes. Kudos to Bike Newport, Barry Freeman and that organization. Just an incredible job of getting people to ride their bikes and to facilitate that. I commend the Newport City Council. Had a chance to speak with Councilor Voravong on Friday night about this and some of the thought that went into planning a new multimodal entrance where you got cars in one lane, bikes in another lane, made a huge difference. That's the kind of city planning that not only improves an event, but also starts to spark ideas about urban planning in general. And so to see that kind of effective operation in tandem with the water taxis pedestrians, so on and so forth. That's like a good exercise, right? Because a lot of this stuff ends up in a think tank conversation or a bubble and very hypothetical. So to see it in action, I thought that was a really powerful and important thing for the city of Newport and for the state. Can you shut down, Brenton Road or whatever it is all the time and turn it into half bikes, half cars? You couldn't even do it on South Water Street in Providence. You'd never get it across the finish line. It's a non-starter. But can you pop it up can we have a flexible transit system? Yes, we are starting to prove that. These festivals are a good example of that. So from a practical standpoint, good job. Kudos. I know there was some trouble getting out on Friday night, I've heard, but look, they're always moving it around. I commend. It's an island with very few egresses, so to speak. And so I commend them for doing a good job, right? Now on the festival itself, look, you had a really steady festival in a lot of ways. And I mean that in the sense that there was a lot of levity to the air, a lot of really good performances, bands like Fruit Bats. He had a great set, great performance. The crowd was into it. You saw a lot of that energy. And it kind of just stayed there to me as I moved around the fort on the first day and Friday, even on Saturday. People were into it, but it didn't have that big peak and valley moment that sometimes you see it at a festival in general, right? Where a huge act, a buzzy act comes out, or somebody has a surprise great set. It was very steady, but it was just a nice reminder that the mediums that are represented here, there's a lot of opportunity to explore sonically. There's a lot of opportunity to explore thematically and performance-wise. The songwriter, indie band, etc. model, right? It is definitely fertile ground. And there are a lot of performers that are both coming from more of a traditional standpoint or from a more experimental standpoint and are crossing into new territory. And I saw a lot of that. By Sunday, there's definitely an air. There's a great set by a great artist, a great Irish artist, CMAT. To me, that was a really powerful moment in the entire festival. The energies just start to pick up to another level, ultimately cascading in a series of really great sets. I mean, Tom Morello, the Rage Against the Machine, and Audio Slave guitarist. It was at minimum interesting and exciting to observe it. People were really into it. And no doubt, Brandon Flowers, the Killers singer, what an unbelievable talent, what an unbelievable, surprising, I didn't think of it, that it would be what it was, just an incredibly exciting show. Gillian Welch, David Rawlings, with their Grateful Dead set, just huge stuff happening, all kind of cascading into, as the buzz was going around Sunday morning, that Dave Matthews was on site. Hey, Dave Matthews is on stage on the Fort stage. And the air had already kind of had that, it just dipped down temperature-wise. It was a little darker. The wind was, it was just kind of a spooky moment in general in there. It's just, I was laying down in the back. I'd walked around I talked to a million people, walked around, saw a million sets. I was just laying down, kind of wondering when the Dave Matthews appearance was actually going to happen in the night. And what I think we were feeling, I think what people were feeling in there was just a shared curiosity and a shared excitement, especially generationally. For me, Dave Matthews, I first discovered Dave Matthews as it was like a WBRU, like 99.7 The Edge was playing Dave Matthews. It was like an alternative rock first type of act. So that's like my initial relationship with this artist, like through the actual radio on like alternative rock, like depending on the station, like format wise, presented in tandem with like Nirvana and, Pixies, etc. Like that was the template that I first discovered Dave Matthews from. And then, of course, whatever. It transformed into a different space than necessarily I was interested in or whatever. But always, had a curiosity at minimum to see the guy perform. I'd never seen Dave Matthews perform. And so as we made our way from the quad area around there's several different stages, and through the fort, we made our way around, and I just saw Dave Matthews. I heard Dave Matthews' voice, and I saw Dave Matthews standing on the stage by himself. And my friend Colleen was the only other person on the stage, one of my dearest friends in the world, and she was filming. I was just like, man, what a cool moment. What a unique scenario that this could happen. You know, there's parameters. I'm not going to get into the business dealings of why you can't announce an artist like Dave Matthews is going to appear and all that. It doesn't matter. The magical element is that it was a great performance. It was a beautiful performance. Shocking. Akin to the Roger Waters moment at the folk festival several years ago, in shock, so to speak, like a whoa. Again, a curiosity and an amusement of sorts, right? That ultimately just delivered a great moment of shared energy. Holy smokes. It's so easy to turn this stuff into romanticized, sort of like almost cringeworthy kind of conversation, right? So when it actually happens, yes. I feel like this festival, this weekend inside of that place, it was all ramping up towards what ultimately was a very unique, intimate moment amongst a lot of people. It just felt good. Even if you're an introvert, which I kind of am, it felt really good to it felt good to have the Newport Bridge behind me and Dave Matthews on the stage singing "Don't Drink the Water." And be in that moment, it just felt good. You know, I saw some Dave Matthews, you know, I hate Dave Matthews. If someone says something like Dave Matthews sucks, that's what I saw some people talking about. Yeah, some local musician guys or whatever. It's something. You know, it's similar to when people say, yeah, I hate Taylor Swift or she sucks or whatever. You know, I'm not even interested in the conversation because it doesn't matter your particular tastes or whatever. You know, to not recognize something special, it's like not worth engaging in. But again, that's a minority. It was truly a great moment. It was truly a great experience. I wish you all could have been there. The intimacy protects the moment, but it also creates I don't want to say gatekeeper scenario because there's access. It's just very scarce, right? And because that, you can't bottle it up and you put it out into the community. You know, you can't say, all right, let's do it every weekend. You know, let's just do it every weekend. It's awesome, right? Of course not. Of course not. The scarcity is what creates the magic. But looking at it through a Rhode Island lens, right, and through which we always come back to here on this show, because this is what we do. It's what I do, you know, and I just think it's a beautiful moment. We try to manufacture things far too often around here. This is something we often talk about on the show. I try to highlight things. I don't care what the space is. Hey, here's something that's actually working in housing. Here's something that's actually working in economic development. Here's an educational approach that's seeing results, right? And identifying the things that work and uplifting those things and trying to not emulate them, and not replicate them, but to embrace them for the attributes which make them great. Historical / community connection, and bringing people together around something that they want to be there for. So that's always my takeaway. I'm not saying it's even through music. I mean, look at Newport Film and what they've done. We have a relationship on the show. I have been long an admirer of Newport Film's work, and they did it again. I moderated a panel on Thursday night for Newport Film. I couldn't believe there were more than 4,000 people there. Gather around to watch the new Jack Johnson film. I moderated a panel with Sid Bruce and a bunch of surfing legends. It was freaking awesome, man. It's like part of the solution to the Third Spaces Challenge, how do we get people to come back together? That thing is making sure the thing that people are doing kicks ass and like actually moves you. And you need talent to do that. You need talented people to bring people together. You need talented people to do the exercise on the stage, the platform, the field, court, pitch, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And cultivating that and harnessing that and embracing that and celebrating that to the fullest is something I always think we should be doing more of. And who's we? I don't know. That's the challenge. That's the danger of this medium. Whether it's on the podcast, the radio, whatever, you say we should be doing this. Okay, well, what can we do? As a community to rally around things. Now, are there problems with every large scale event? Are there problems? Is there another side to it? Right? Are there people who have the detractors of the Newport festivals, or because the traffic, or because they're whatever, they have a grievance or whatever it may be? Sure, okay. But as Rhode Island continues to look for its identity, it needs to start looking at its soul and pull it straight out of there, because it is right there in front of us. Stop trying to manufacture stuff. You've already got it here. It comes out in moments like this Newport Folk Festival, that Dave Matthews moment, man. Out on the water. Again, I don't know. I probably could tell you. I couldn't tell you how many Dave Matthews songs. If you handed me a guitar right now, I could play. It's definitely less than 5. I'm not like a Dave Matthews guy. I haven't thought of Dave Matthews in a long time. I've been listening since that show. In fact, I did see on like an Instagram video or something. I think it was like the second to last episode of the Colbert Show. Dave Matthews playing us, "Don't Drink the Water," one of the songs he played at the folk festival, solo acoustic, dark, really beautiful, really powerful, man. Just great stuff, So that's part of it. Kudos to, again, the auxiliary elements of this as well. How about this? The food element is huge to any successful event, right? And that's no different at Newport Folk. And let me tell you, I discovered I'm vegan. A lot of listeners know that. I haven't been like touting that as much or anything like that in the last couple of years, but it's still sometimes people are like, "Yo, I'm also vegan." The broccoli bar out of Burlington, Vermont. I'm like a broccoli head now. I'm going to like start. I'm going to be talking about cooking broccoli pretty soon. I'm like an upcoming episode. I'll put it that way. Amazing food truck, broccoli based vegan stuff. But look, the overall component of it, the vendors, the whole thing. Look, at the end of the day, we understand it's an event. We understand it's a business. We get it. All right. But it achieves a higher level of experience, highest level of experience. It's a standard we should strive for more in more and more and more and more places. It's something to observe and say, okay, hell yeah. I'm not talking about somebody who does their own folk festival either. I'm not talking about anything like that. Original ideas done super freaking well. We have a lot of opportunity to tap into in that regard. And the culinary space, the vendor space, the multimodal elements to get there, the interactivity, the environmental, ecological elements of it. It's all right there. What in the world are we doing? Fooling around with 90% of the ideas that come as the direction to take the state from a marketing standpoint, or from a broad economic development. Swing for some gigantic 1 in a million shot in the dark type thing while the Superman building is boarded up, right? Downtown Providence. And try to revive something that's almost not revivable from an industrial standpoint, without looking at that which is working and thinking more outside the box. That's why I highlight it every year. It happened again this year. Big Matthews. Debates next week. Main event type of week here in terms of the podcast. I'm going to be getting ready for it. I pre-recorded a couple episodes for the rest of this week, and I'll be under the hood. But I'll be at Jazz Fest. We'll be there as much as we can be as I prepare for next week. I do plan to be there each day. Come and say hi. It's been great to meet a bunch of you guys out there as well. I really do appreciate it. Some really great conversations, and I look forward to more of those as well.